I feel like for me, the day that I started to realize that, yo, look, like I can inspire a lot of people by just my presence. You know what I'm saying? And it's like presence in essence determines respect. But apart from that, for me, my energy is my currency, bro. You know what I'm saying? I always tell people all the time, and they're like, oh, bro, like, man, is he like always like, it's like, yo, bro, I have down days. You know what I'm saying? We all do, absolutely, man.
Alrighty, I reckon we kick this off,
Let's get it, bro.
G'day. Welcome back to A Lot to Talk About. It is your boy, the captain of the ship, the man in charge, Bradley J. Driver. Of course, you can call me Brad. Stoked to be here. I'm here with one of my longtime friends. He's such a good human being. You will know him from the hit television series, the reality show, Love Island. But there is so much more to this man than a guy who was on TV. This is a guy that every time we sit down in conversation, I'm inspired by him. His story is inspiring. He brings out the best in me and the best in everyone around him. Absolutely love him for it. And today we're going to talk about his inspiring background, what's brought him to where he is. And we're going to allow you to connect a little bit more with a man behind the screen. Ladies and gentlemen, from your home, your car, or wherever you are, give some love to my boy, Taku Chimwaza.
Oh my God, but I need you to introduce me like that literally every morning, bro. You wake me up like that?
Bro, I provide services, brother. It's so good to be here, bro.
I wake up hype, man. Thanks so much for having me, my bro.
Bro, my absolute pleasure. It's nice to have you in the studio.
Big time, bro.
We've been boys now for what, 6 or so years?
Yeah, bro, 6 or so years,
so,
man.
I met this guy. For those of you who are from the Gong or from Wollongong area, you'd know that like you can't go down North Beach Kiosk or North Beach itself without knowing that smiling face barista that used to serve up the brews every day and just bring the absolute vibes. That's how I met this guy. I remember being in I actually remember the first day I met you being in a suit while I was going on my former job.
Yeah.
And you were just gassing me up, giving me good energy, bro.
Look at you, bro. What the hell? Yeah. Going looking that clean. But and you know what, man? That's so wild. You know, like how like God just kind of puts you in positions where you've got no choice but to actually get to like know this person, or like he just sends like a certain person into your life, and then like from a certain moment you just develop like an amazing bond.
Yeah.
And from then on, man, like we just become so close, bro. And,
yeah, bro.
Man, I'm so grateful to have you in my life.
Yeah, likewise, brother. And you know, you've been super supportive of me through this journey and all the stuff that I'm doing. And I remember sitting down for a first ever coffee together and just talking about our life stories. And whilst we've had very different and unique stories, there was so much common ground in, you know, the idea of understanding and accepting challenge, bringing out the best in ourselves, this motivation, this drive to find the life path that was, you know, connected to purpose, connected to passion, and doing things for the good of our true self, but also for the good of others. And that's something I love about you. And I want to dive into your story today for the people that are listening and watching on to get an idea of who you truly are at the core. And a big part of who you are is your culture. It's something that you're super proud of. And,
big time, bro.
You know, whilst you're a Wollongong boy right now and an island boy at times, you're, you know, that's not where your story began. So tell us a little bit about your background.
So originally, a man said in an island boy. So, for some of those people that I know, man, so I'm originally from Zimbabwe, from a small town called Mutare. Very, very small town. It's like right on the border of Zimbabwe and Mozambique. So anyway, so grew up in this small town with my grandparents. Well, so it's so weird, right? Every time that I tell this, I say, so are your parents like still around? Yeah, absolutely. But in like African culture, it's like the firstborn usually gets to go and like live with like the grandparents, right? So anyway, so I spent most of my life with like my grandparents, man. We had an incredible bond. But even me and my mom and my dad, like incredibly close. So it's so like amazing, like how like we're all very tightly, very, very like tightly knit. So grew up in a very, you know, cultural, you know, homestead, I guess, in a way, like, and I feel like it was so important, man, because to me to this day, like I always like carry culture like very, very close to my heart, because my grandparents, my parents, you know, and you know, like the people that I've gotten like the pleasure to meet like throughout the years, they kind of allowed me, man, to understand that wherever that you may go, like culture is always going to be the backbone of who you are. You know what I'm saying? And you know, it's the only thing that kind of really allowed me to stay grounded and true to exactly who I am wherever that I go, man. You know what I mean? You can't say, you know, Taku without saying Zimbabwe. You know what I'm saying? So I try to make sure, man, that that's definitely who I am, and well, I mean, that's, you know, something that I, you know, strongly carry with me. So from then, so when I was about 12, that's when I got the opportunity to actually move here. My amazing auntie, actually, my mom's sister, she managed to get a job here, but she was based in Glasgow in Scotland. And then anyway, so she wanted to live with her son that we were living with, you know, like you know, back home. And so she managed to, you know, get both of us, you know, from Zim, and we all like went from this very small town to, you know, this amazing country, which is Australia. But out of all the places, we landed in Nara. You know what I mean? So at the bottom of the track, you know, like at the very, very end of the tracks. So people always think that place is like, you know, how you going? But for us, bro, like we thought that was the place, you know, like that was like, bro, that was the shit.
The land
like,
of opportunity.
Yo, we were like so like excited to see, you know, things like, for example, right, just put things in like perspective. Like we were very excited when we like came to like, you know, like Coles, and there was like self-checkout, and we were like, what is this? We were like, are they not scared of people stealing? Like, because I'm telling you, in African countries, bro, they make sure that there's security guards at the tills to make sure. So I'm like little things like that, man, just really allowed us to like, you know, like be like very, very grateful for like very little things. So, you know, like it was a big, big step, you know, like especially like coming from like, you know, like where we came from. And after that, then we moved to Wollongong, you know what I mean? And then, you know, after that, that's when like I feel like my whole world just started opening up. Like I started seeing all these things, like, you know, and then next minute I just blinked and I was on Love Island. I was like, yo, this is wild. You know what I mean? So just to put things in perspective for like people that are out there, man, like thinking about it, like where, imagine like, you know, a small town boy, like from a third world country, you know, coming to like, you know, like the big smoke out here, and then like you're on like a worldwide television. It's wild, bro. You know what I mean? Like, and I can't really put that in words, man, because people don't really quite understand that, you know, like until you've actually, you know, lived the life. So you'd actually need to actually come home with me. You know, like I always tell people, hey man, I gotta take you guys home and actually see, you know, where I actually come from. You know what I'm saying? So that's definitely something that I love to do, man, to, you know, take people like on a bit of a journey, man. So this is amazing, man, that you've actually got me on here, man, because as you said, people only know me from the island, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's so much more, man, that people really need to understand, man, that like, man, it's not really just the glamours, you know what I mean? Like island boy, but definitely a dirt boy as well too.
I love that. And that's like we spoke about before. For those of you who know us, we both know how to have a chat.
Oh,
we
man.
sat here for probably an hour talking. Just
before we even started the cameras. Big time.
We spoke about that idea of remembering where you're from and remembering the struggle and the hardship that you faced in your life. It grounds you.
Big time.
It allows you that no matter where you end up or where you go or what direction you're headed in, to remember the roots of you, to remember what makes you the human being that you are.
Yeah.
And like you said, your culture is a big part of that. I'm interested to hear your perspective because I've actually never asked you this before. A question's just come to the top of my mind.
What? When
you knew you were coming to Australia, what were your expectations? Like, what did you think when your auntie said, hey, we're moving to Australia, and you're like, all right, I'm going. What did you expect to see and feel?
It wasn't even that simple. When she said that, I was like, I'm not coming.
Okay,
I'm a big mommy's boy, bro.
Yeah.
That was one thing for me because I'm very, very close to my family. Big mommy's boy. I love my dad to bits, man. Like man, gets me emotional. But anyway, so for me, immediately being distanced from my family, well, even though auntie's family is all, but it's like from my immediate family, that scared me. So immediately I said no. I was like, nah, I was just like, and then, you know what's so crazy that I was this, because my mom always tells me about this story, because I told my mom no. She was like, I'm not going to force you, but the opportunity is there. I go to school, right? So my dad, big, like, grinder, bro. Like, man, he just took so many sacrifices, man, to make sure that I was put in the best position to be where I am right now. But, so he managed to get a job in Afghanistan, right? And managed to put me through to private school.
Yeah.
So I was like in a range of like all these, you know, kids, right, with different experiences, all this stuff. And one of my friends, his name was Ellis. I remember to this day, and you know, like we were talking, and it was like, man, you know, yeah, I've got like, you know, family that's in Australia, man, like it's great, and I never told anyone that I was gonna move here, like, well, that I had the opportunity to move here, and I was telling them, I was like, hey, man, like, my auntie gave me like the opportunity to go there, but I don't think I'm gonna go, and he's like, man, you gotta be out of your goddamn mind. He said it exactly like that too, and then they all started laughing at me. They were like, do you know if we had that opportunity, we would leave all this shit. Like, we'll leave all of this. Like, bro, laters, up until we told me that, you put it in his place. I was like, bro, like, you remember like how we were saying, like, literally, like, before we actually turned on the camera, like, how it was like, God like sends like specific people in your life to push through a certain point so you can level up. Yeah. He was that guy for me. And it was like, literally, like, because I was stern, I was like, nah, I'm not going. Like, because I'd heard so many, like, weird things about Australia, like, but, like, you know, in, like, the olden days, it was so weird. Oh, you know, like, don't go to Australia, like, it's, like, you know, like, a racist country, all this stuff. Yeah. But this was, like, ancient shit, you know what I'm saying? So it's, like, in my mind, I was like, oh, man, why am I going to go there? And when he told me that, I packed my bags, I was like, Moms, I'm going, you know? So I had this expectation, right? It's so bad, right? But I'm going to say it anyway, because this is, you asked the question, right? Yeah. I was like, man, I'm going to this place. I've heard so many stuff about this place, man. Yeah, like it's, man, like it's going to be a racist country. Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, am I going to be, you know, accepted? All this stuff. All this stuff is going on through a 12-year-old's mind, bro. You know what I'm saying? Hold on. I was 14, actually, 14. So in my mind, I was like, yo, man, I'm going to go to this place. Like, am I going to be accepted? Because amongst my own people as well, too. I told you before, like, I used to have a bad stutter. I felt different within, you know, amongst my own people. So I just gotten over the stutter. I come here, I feel different as it is. I come to a school now, high school, right? And me and my cousin, we were the only black kids in the whole high school, bro. Yeah. And you can only imagine, like, that first week, I had all these kids, like, it was like, I started to understand, bro, that it was like, they were so interested in actually getting to know me that it took away that whole thing of, oh, am I going to be accepted? I never felt so accepted, bro. Like, this country, like literally before I came here, I had like a certain view about Australia. Up until I got it, I thought like I was going to come through and I was seeing like all these kangaroos like fucking going around and shit. It was like that, but then
jumps on his rudest.
Yeah, man, literally. You know, but anyway, so I literally like came through and I was like, man, like this is so much better than I expected. You know what I mean? And like it was literally like the land of opportunity, bro. You know what I'm saying? And man, like it is such a big part of my life, man. Like Australia is like, because I'm an Australian citizen now. It's like I feel like, you know, like obviously like I still have my culture and I am Zimbabwean at birth. Like Australia is like, you know, within me now. You're saying like I'm like it's a part of me now as well, you know. So like I guess to answer your question, man, before I came here, man, I did not know what to expect, you know what I mean? But I was like, you know what, it's literally just me walking by faith and not sight. Amen. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, but here I am now.
Man. I love that, and I'm so glad you're here.
Yeah, big time, bro.
Let's talk about the change in almost purpose and dream for you over the last couple of years, because I remember sitting with you with that first coffee we often refer back to, and I remember at the time I had a different dream. I thought my purpose was in the real estate career and the property career, and at the time, your direction, your path was footy.
Yeah,
playing rugby.
Bro. Yeah.
And since then, opportunities have changed, other things have arisen in your life. Talk to me about where you feel your purpose lies now and what your passions are for. So
from our chat, okay, so the thing is, right, for those people that don't know, so I used to play footy, right, like I kind of still do, but where I was, right, at that point was, I was like, I had a dream. I was like, I told my mom, I was like, I'm going to be a professional footy player. You know what I mean? And she was like, why? I was like, because I want to be able to tell those kids, or like to show them rather than tell them that, you know, I literally came from Wayala, you know what I mean? I was in the same shoes, but look at where God took me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's like, if I can do it, y'all can too. And I feel like at that point, purpose and vision started to align, because it was like, I went from a point where I was like, nah, like I just needed a stage to be able to show people like that, yo, look, God can take me from this place to this place. You know what I'm saying? And I needed to be able to like, inspire like the youth them. You know what I'm saying? Like I needed to actually, like the whole footy thing was to make sure that I can inspire a lot of kids. Like I'm so big in kids, bro. You know what I'm saying? I love kids, but it's like, like I always felt like I always wanted a bigger brother. You know what I'm saying? And it's like up until God was like, you're gonna be a bigger brother to a lot of other kids that are gonna look up to you at a point in your life where you're like, yo, like this is so much more bigger than me. So that was the reason behind me wanting to play footy. You know what I'm saying? Because I've always played footy all my life. But anyway, so when the opportunity for Love Island came along, I wasn't even thinking about like the whole inspiring thing. I was like, well, look, finding love would be a bonus, you know what I mean? Like, that'd be amazing. But the experience, like, no one really gets an experience like that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, from that point where we first met, or like when we had that coffee, right? And up until like I went on the show, and then I came out and I was getting so much love from people that are saying, oh man, like you inspired us so much. Like, like it's so inspirational seeing someone that can actually, but like it was just like a lot of nice stuff, man. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't want to, suck my own titty, but but like it was like I got like a lot of love. You know what I'm saying? And for me, man, I think like the biggest thing was to make sure, man, that as we say all the time, like that how life is like one beggar telling another beggar where found the bread. But for me, it was to be able to tell other people that, yo, look, if I can do it, like y'all can. You know what I'm saying? And no matter how the world changes, around you, if you can allow yourself to remain the same, regardless of external factors, man, you're winning in life. And that was the biggest thing within me, man, because like when people started to tell me, hey, man, it's amazing to see that you're still the same person that you were at the kiosk in the coffee shop on TV. Like, that's what's big for me, man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And to be able to inspire people that are constantly trying to change who they are, like around certain people so that they fit in and they're misfits all the time. For me, like, that's what I feel like was my purpose, man. To make sure that people are comfortable within their own skin. You know what I'm saying? Because we're all uniquely and wonderfully made, right? But up until you understand that, you're unique for a reason, and you know what I mean? Like, and you shouldn't change yourself to be liked by anyone else. Like, that's when you really start to realize how beautiful life can be.
Fuck, I love that, bro. I remember watching the show, and I'd never watched Love Island before, so this was my first experience. And I remember what I do is I had a ritual. Every Thursday night I'd sit down and I'd watch the whole week's episodes.
Right.
And like I'd watch them all at once because I was like, and because I hated, as they do so well with reality TV, you get to the end of the episode and you're like,
what next?
God, what's happening?
Exactly, bro.
A suspenseful moment with you. Like, what's happening? I can't wait to see my boy next. So I was like, if I can condense all of that into one night, I feel more settled. And I'd watch the show, and I remember thinking, fuck, I'm so proud of my guy.
Fuck, I appreciate that, man.
You were so you.
I hope so, man. I hope so, bro.
Bro, I just got to watch through the screen, and I was like, this is the guy that... And I even thought, there's going to be people back home who think... Man, is this dude like just energetic because it's... Is
he just putting it on?
But I'm like, nah, this is our guy. Like, and we had heaps of group chats between all of our mates.
Man,
commenting like, man, this is our boy. Like, this is the guy that we know. And I said that to you when you got off the show, but I think the thing for me, and you spoke about it just there, that mission to allow people to be super comfortable with who they are. Mm-hmm. And I think that challenge presents usually because people have a lack of understanding or a lack of attachment to a purpose yet.
Yeah.
And when you've got that purpose, like when you understand, you know what your mission is now, right? Mm-hmm. So you can be like, we spoke about this before we turned the camera on too. You can be comfortable. Mm-hmm. To be uncommon, you have to be misunderstood.
Exactly right, bro.
That is a consequence of being an uncommon man or woman amongst society.
Big time, bro.
Because you understand what your mission is, though, you can be sweet with that.
Absolutely, man.
But for the person who maybe lacks that little bit of purpose or lacks an anchor to some meaning in their life, that feeling of being uncommon or misunderstood really burns at them because they don't understand the power of it.
They don't get it. Exactly right, man.
But I guarantee you that one day, if you feel lost at the moment, or if you feel like you don't fit into this equation that is society, there's going to be one day and one moment where you align with that mission and you go, I understand it all
Big
now.
time, bro.
Because we've been through that. I've been through that.
Exactly, man. Big time. And it's so crazy. Remember when we were talking about last time we talking about something along the lines of a quote that we heard about how they're two very important days in your life, where
Yes.
it's the day you were born and the day you realize why you were born. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And it's like, I feel like for me, the day that I started to realize that, yo, look, like I can inspire a lot of people by just my presence. You know what I'm saying? And it's like presence in essence determines respect. But apart from that, for me, my energy is my currency, bro. You know what I'm saying? I always talk about all the time, and they're like, oh, bro, like, man, is he like always like, it's like, yo, bro, I have down days. You know what I'm saying? We all do, absolutely,
Yeah.
man. But I feel like for me, man, like, because like this is just who I naturally am. I feel like there's so many more people that are like that, but that feels so uncomfortable to be like that, I guess, like around people that aren't like them. And it's like, you know, I guess like right now, bro, like in society, I think we start to like man, like what's like the norm now? You know what I'm saying? Like it's like people have got like different meanings to what like normal is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then it's like you define what normal is. You know what I'm saying? And up until people see you're like, hey man, this guy's kind of different. He's not like us. What the fuck's going on? Because you start to feel like, yo, maybe I should be like them. For me, that's why I started to feel like it's my mission, bro, to make sure that people that feel like that, you don't, like, it's not a bad thing to be an anomaly. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, for me to be the, you know, like the person that I'm at, like, yeah, like, it's like, there's a lot of like consequences, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, well, I guess not consequences, but like, you know, where it's like God gives and takes with, you know, the other hand. Where it's like, for me, it's like, you know, yeah, I might be so energetic, but it's like there are times that I'm like, I need a moment. But it's like people might catch me on a day where I'm not quite feeling like myself, and they're like, oh, like, because everyone expects energy from me. You know what I'm saying? So I guess that's like another side of that thing. But at the same time, it's like for me, man, like being able to show people that, you know, like no matter who you are, man, no matter how you are, like you make what your norm. Well, like you make your own normal in a way. You know what I'm saying? And don't feel different about that.
100%. You know, you said that quote there. The two most important days in someone's life is the day they're born, the day they realise why they were born. It's a similar quote I know we've spoken about before, Naval Ravikant. I'm not sure if he's the guy that come up with it or he was just referencing someone else. But his words on Joe Rogan's podcast were, every man lives two lives. The second begins when he realises he only has one.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And that moment of realisation.
Ooh, that's deep.
I often wonder,
That's right.
why do we need a waking moment though?
Yeah.
Because it feels like that's the case. And I know I've spoken about it a heap of times on this podcast and a heap of times in conversation with you. There's been numerous moments in my life where it's almost been the like hardship or faced with potential uncertainty of some cases, like, you know, very confronting moments of, man, is my time here on earth over? Like when I've had, you know, some real health scares, or when I've had moments where I've been at my absolute lowest points. They're the catalyst for change. They're the catalyst for that, oh fuck, I've only got one life, I need to make the most of it. They're the catalyst for that realization, that reawakening, you'd call it.
Big time.
Why do you think we need so many reawakenings? I ask myself that all the time. Like when I slip into that temporary, uninspired state of being, or that temporary state of victim mentality, which never I don't let it last that long.
Yeah, on 100%, yeah.
But you slip into that at times in your life when things don't go to plan.
Yeah.
But why is it that we need often those moments of reawakening to get back on track?
Man, far out. Like, look, man, I feel like, you know, in every once in a while, bro, like, you always get these tests. You know what I'm saying? And, like, if you need to level up, you need to take a test. You know what I'm saying? Within every level, you need to take a test. If you don't, your shit's going to remain the same. If you don't have anything that's kind of making you uncomfortable and, like, something that's going to give a little bit of self-doubt and, like, you kind of have to push through a certain barrier, you're not going to level up to that next level of your life.
Yeah.
And I was telling you before, right, about that guy that I was in school with. That was like, yo, man, fuck, I would have left ages ago. I had to face the test of, am I going to stay at home and, be comfortable and struggle with my family? Because we were struggling, bro. There was a time when, man, and I was telling you this time, man, we had a very emotional chat. When I was like, yo, there was a time, man, but I hope my mom sees this. But she probably didn't think that I was old enough to understand this. But I remember we're going through a rough time, and I had a moment where I spoke to God, and I was like, God, I wish there was someone that was overseas that could send us money and just like help us to get out of this rut. Not too long after that, my mate was like, yo, I would have left ages ago. Why would I stay here? But I had to go through that bit of like uncertainty, uncomfortability. But I was at a point where I was old enough to understand these things, like, and I was like, I need to leave. In order for my family to be comfortable, I need to separate myself from it. For me to be able to go and lay my foundation over there so I can make sure that they're looked after. And at 14, that's a lot of pressure, yeah. But it's like, just to like answer your question, to go like, these things, like, you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't have been in the position that I'm at right now if I had, you know, chosen to stay comfortable and just stay home with my family. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I guess, like, you know, it's probably like a message for like everyone that's out there at home, like, where it's like, if you're at a point where, you know, it's like two extremes in a way, but, you know, one of them is very rewarding, but it'll take a big part of your life. You know what I mean? Will you rather face the feeling of like regret, or the feeling of, I'm like just comfortable right now, but I'm not moving. But what if? You know what I'm saying? Like what if that had happened? You know what I mean? Or like you're in that position where you're like, wow, like this is happening right now. Like I'm actually living. It's okay. You know what I mean? And I feel like I'm at that point right now, man, where I'm like, you know, God always had like his hands on my life, bro. There's never a moment that I felt like I've been alone. Even though I'm not with my family right now, I feel like they're with me in spirit, and like they're always with me, like, because, you know, I took this chance for them. You know what I'm saying? And people don't really know that, man. But I do support my family back home, yeah, financially as well. You know what I mean? But it's like, for me to have been able to be, you know, in this position right now, I had to leave them. But if you told my 14-year-old self at that point, I wouldn't have believed it. You know what I'm saying? So, enable for us to level up, man, you need to have to take the test. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man. I love you for that. It's wilding, bro. It's wilding, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that like in a point where, well, like, sorry, like, you know, like to get some sort of like sympathy points or like whatever it is. But, you know, I feel like people need to be able to understand and hear that part. You know what I mean? To be actually, well, to actually understand exactly who I am. You know what I'm saying? Like people don't understand that bit.
That's your truth.
Yeah, man, that's my truth. And I've always been like the guy that always wants to hide that part. But, you know what I mean? Like people just want to hear the shake and bake, you know, Hollywood shit. Boy, you made it. You're doing good now. Nah. You know what I mean? You understand the sacrifices that I had to take to get here. People don't understand the sacrifices that you had to take to be in the studio right now as well, too. And that's to answer your own question right there, bro. You know what I'm saying? You had to take the test for you to come here. You know what I'm saying? It's big, right?
Amen.
My G.
Yeah, bro. Sacrifice, so important.
Big, man.
It becomes such a necessary part of life. Mm-hmm. Like one thing that, you know, we're both... Funnily enough, you're not the only person that's had this like weird synchronicity of what we're reading and listening to right now, because I've spoken to a few people who, like you and I, have been in the process of or just finished listening to or reading David Goggins' book, Can't Hurt Me. Mm-hmm. And one of the things I love from this book is this constant understanding of the importance of struggle, this importance of sacrifice and pushing yourself beyond comfort zones, because without that, there's no growth. There's no growth.
Exactly, bro.
And you being able to link back to that purpose and that anchor of doing this for your family, that's something that we connect on a lot. Where
big time,
we've had differences in. I've had quite a cushy life, you know, that I'm really thankful for growing up. But my challenges come from my health realm. And the sacrifice that my parents made and the sacrifice my sister made and the strength that they gave me allowed me to connect and anchor to that with such purpose that everything I do is about making them proud. You know, I've got it tattooed there. That's what's up. You know, for all you've done today, I'll make you proud. And it's an anchor, man. It's that reminder, bro, that like, that's why I'm pushing myself. Exactly right. That's why I'm doing this. And I think it's hard for people, you know, like I can't even... You know, we sit and we chat, and for me, it's hard to find the words to say, fuck, I get where you're coming from, because I understand the need and the necessity of struggle, but I don't understand the life that you've come from. And I think what's really powerful and important is to have empathy, to understand where someone comes from in their life, why their struggle is their struggle, why they are the human being that they are. And I think that's where, in a world of common people, the uncommon ones become comfortable with being misunderstood because they also have empathy for others.
That's exactly right. I like that, man.
Like, I have empathy for where you've come from, knowing that I will never truly understand your struggle.
And vice versa, bro. Big time.
That's it.
But I appreciate the struggle, man. You know what I'm saying? Because, and that's what I was saying to you, but too, before I was like, you know, we inspire each other in very interesting ways where it's like iron sharpens iron. You know what I'm saying? And we can feed into each other in certain ways where you might not know it, bro. And I was saying this before, I was like, man, you inspired me way before, you know, like we had this, you know, like our podcast, like way before, like we had like our first meeting. I was like, it's something about this guy. You know what I mean? That I need to just dig a little bit deeper, bro. You know what I mean? Because you add a lot to me, bro. Without, you know, I never actually, but I'm serious, bro. Your journey inspires me so much, and you know, I can't begin to imagine like how many people that you're inspiring as well too that are in your shoes. And I'm like, for example, there was the video that you done posted, and you were bleeding, man. Like, you know, like out your lungs, and like it was like a sink full of blood. And I'm like, yo, this guy's got bleeding lungs and he's still gonna run a marathon? I was like, what excuse do I have to not get up early in the morning and do the shit that I gotta do to make sure that I get myself in a better position? You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, you know, as I said before, man, iron sharpens iron, man. But at the same time, I feel like your story, the way that it kind of allows me to grow better as a person is like, without you saying these words, but it's like you'll never appreciate good health up until you've been sick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You'll never appreciate riches up until you've been poor. And that's why, like, we love to relate to the struggle, man. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
And, like, we really, really love to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because when you're comfortable, you can still relate to that and just go back into the cookie jar, right? And go, yo, I'm a bad motherfucker. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And that's so big with it, man. You know what I mean? It's like, I feel like my feet are very firmly down to the ground, bro, because, you know, like, the struggle is always going to be a part of me, man. You know what I'm saying? I still do the same shit that I was doing before the island, and that shit is like, so, that's like many moons ago, bro. I rarely talk about the island anymore. You know what I mean? It was like a vacation. Yeah, oh, well, it's okay. But that's not who I am. You know what I'm saying? People talk about 42 for CF, but they don't talk about your childhood. You growing up, the struggle you had to go through, your parents as well too, the sacrifices they had to go through for you to be in this moment right now. Your story, bro, is gonna move people, my G.
That's why when we caught up, when you'd just gotten back, I remember us talking about when we were gonna sit down and do this, and I suppose saying, you know, fuck yeah, the island was a cool experience, but we don't really want to go there because there is so much outside being before and what's going to come after that actually matters.
That's right,
the stuff that makes you who you are, the stuff that's ingrained in your DNA, the stuff that hopefully the new audience that you have who found you through the island can listen to this now and go, man, I understand why this guy's maybe been misunderstood.
100%, bro.
I understand, and I'm inspired by his story now. Now I'm not just following him because he's a guy that gave us some good energy on TV, you know, when I come home from work on a Monday night. But he's the guy that, like, inspires the shit out of me to get up before work tomorrow morning and grind. The guy that inspires me to get a little bit more.
Let's
talk about life post all of this now. Obviously, opportunity has come knocking because of the character you are and the good human being you are. You know, hard work and sacrifice pays off eventually, right? And you're starting to be provided with some of those opportunities now. What's the newfound goals for you? Obviously, you've got that mission, but what do you think will be the vehicles to connect that mission?
Look, man, I think the vehicles to connect with that mission and like the something that's been like deep. I was like, yo, man, I wouldn't mind having some sort of like a platform, kind of like this in a way. I could start a podcast, but I was like, right, possibly even, you know, finding another way to get some sort of a radio show if I can. I love mornings, bro. I'm a morning person now, yo, be like, it's like, yeah, I might hate getting up, but it's like, I'm grateful I got up, but it's like, you know how that is, but it's like at the same time, when I was working at the kiosk, right, people didn't notice, but when I was working there, I used to start at 5:30 every morning. And there was a reason why my boss got me to start every morning, because I made sure that every time that I got to work, I set up people's days. You know what I'm saying? So I would wake up an hour early. I would wake up at about 4:30, you know what I mean, to about, you know, I guess at 4:45 to make sure that, you know, I'm in a good mind state so that when I get to work, I know that it's people that they wake up and I'm the first person that they actually have a proper conversation to. I give them the energy to make sure that they can conquer their day. And I'm like, if I can still maintain to do that, but on a bigger spectrum, that would be amazing. I'm like, if I can have like an early morning radio show, bro, where I wake up and I can G up people, you know what I mean, to go conquer the day, that's us. So I would love to have my own radio show. I mean, like, that's something that I'm highly pushing for, and I would love doing that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, for me, man, it's so crazy, bro, because people don't understand that you're already in training for your purpose right now. Before you know it, you're being trained. God has already put the necessary people around you without you knowing it to build yourself to be that Brad, to be podcast Brad, to be 42 for CF without you knowing it. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, it's wild for me, bro, because people started speaking life into my life and like speaking, you know, life into existence, like without me knowing, man, you should be on TV. Man, you should have your own podcast. You should do these things. Like, you can inspire a lot of people. Like, man, wow, like we should just have a camera here for you. You know what I'm saying? But within, like, then I didn't know that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's like, it's almost like giving like an L plater, you know, a Maserati. You know what I'm saying? It's a good gift, but a gift given too early isn't a gift at all, right? And it's like, for me, I was still in training. You know what I'm saying? For like, you know, I guess like where God is taking me right now. I might not know exactly, but I've got vision and you know, like in like direction. You know what I'm saying? And sorry, bro. And man, shit, I talk a lot, but you know what I'm saying? I'm getting to what I'm getting to.
Keep moving.
So, there was a point when I was like, yo, God, like, I'm getting so many people like just telling me, yo, like, you put a lot of effort into just making coffee and waking people up the right way. No matter if I'm having a bad day, people are like, man, why are you faking it? Like, are you even happy today? I got shit going on. But the next person that I'm talking to, they don't know this. You know what I'm saying? They still come through for their energy. And it's like, it became more than just coffee for them. They came for the experience. You know what I'm saying? And I owed it up to myself to make sure that, you know, I use that platform to make sure that if I can, you know, make someone, you know what I mean? Like, you know, well, because people kind of like wake up like in weird moods or like, you know, like who knows like what they've, you know, like where they're coming from. If I can change, you know, someone else's day, you know what I mean, for the better, just one person a day, I'm doing great. And I started doing that, like, you know, every single person, like in the morning, 20, 30, with every single person. I started knowing people, like, you know, people's orders, people, you know, like people's stories. And like, for me, man, I was like, wow, like, if I can have a radio show, man, like that'd be amazing. I want to do that like on a big spectrum.
You deserve that so much.
I hope so, man.
The one thing, I love what you said there because it's something that I've been journaling about a little bit. You spoke about being in training for the moment, that the gift given too early isn't a gift at all. I've been writing about this because this idea popped into my head. I was speaking to my family about it. I remember, like, I'm coming up to the 2-year anniversary of this podcast next Saturday.
Congrats, baby.
So on Feb the 12th, it'll be 2 years since I released my first episode,
That's what's
right?
up.
And I remember starting, there was this level of naivety that I think was actually really healthy and important at the time, but this level of naivety that, man, give me a year, 2 years, I'll be up on those charts with Rogan.
Right.
Man, I'll have a couple million listeners, things will be good, podcasts will be paying me, man, I'll be doing what I love, earning great money, and I'll be comfortable, right? And then you get to a year in, you get to 2 years in, bro, I walked away from everything. I sold my house. I'm making $0 right now.
Right.
I'm living off what I saved and what I sold to be able to chase the dream, right? So I'm making $0. But I'm smiling. I'm sweet because I've begun to understand that sometimes if the opportunity comes to you too early and you aren't prepared,
it ain't a blessing
you
at
can
all,
fucking blow it all
That's
up.
what's up. Big time.
There's a certain reason that my intent and my action has not led me to where I want to be just yet. It's led to me to where I need to be right now. In preparation for the moment that this shit changes, and there's millions of people listening, there's brand deals to organize, there's all these things. I know I'll be ready for it because I went through the hardship and the struggle.
What's up, man?
And then people start to go, but aren't you scared because you're 25 going on 26 this year, there's no income, you know, like life's getting on, bro. Like at 30, you're supposed to have a house, you're supposed to be married, you're supposed to have kids.
That's their norm.
bro, I read this tweet the other day. Well, actually, it was read out to me. I was listening to Tim Ferriss's podcast. He was interviewing Rich Roll. Anyone who knows Rich Roll's story, the guy's a vegan Ultraman.
Okay.
And he went from being heavily overweight, an alcoholic, working as a lawyer in his mid-30s, has this heart scare, changes his whole life. He's on this podcast and Tim Ferriss says, I'm going to read out a tweet that you posted in 2018 on the eve of your 53rd birthday. Wow. And I think it sums you up very well. The tweet said, at 43, I reached my peak level of fitness. Wow. At 44, I wrote my first book. At 45, I started my podcast. Wow. At 30, I thought my life was over. At 52, I realized it's just begun. Wow. That right there...
That's deep, man.
That is the essence of who we are as human beings. It is never too late to change your stars. It is never too late to go after the shit that you want to achieve in life.
Big time.
And you better believe if it hasn't happened for you yet, it's because you are in training for the moment that it does.
Yo.
And with that realization, expectation of time goes out the window.
Bro.
You become very comfortable with understanding that the struggle is relevant.
That's what's up. I love that, man. And it's like, man, it's, I feel like, as you said, man, like, well, there's no really, obviously, like, we like to have expectation and, we like to think that there's a time frame for our goals. But, God always has like a different time for us, man. Even if you're religious or not, I like to say the universe, I guess, everything has already been written. You know what I'm saying? So the moment that you start to neglect the things that really matter and things, because I feel like everyone knows exactly what they need to do.
Yeah.
But it's just taking that leap of faith. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, all right, like, I've got cousins that are like, like at uni, like my, like younger cousins that have like, graduated before me. Like me coming in, man, I was meant to be in uni, I was meant to graduate. You know what I'm saying? And like, but that's like, like in an African family, it's like, you're like either an engineer, lawyer, or doctor, or you're a disgrace of the family. So I'm just the disgrace. But anyway, so what I'm getting to is like, like there's this time frame and expectation that like, I guess like society and like, or like our family kind of puts in us, and that puts like a lot of pressure on us. But then again, it's like, there's so many people, bro, that are like living their life day to day, so discouraged, because of the shit that people used to tell you, man. Oh, like you get into your 30s, blah, 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 you should have bought a house, blah, blah. And so it scares them to not actually want to work on that thing that is their dream. You know what I'm saying? Or something that actually excites them. People, they a lot of humdrum people there are a lot of people that are going to humdrum jobs where like they just like do a 9 to 5 and it's like after that they're just working for the man. Work for the man, pay for the man. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, right, like what actually excites you? And it's a question that not many people ask. But it's necessary, bro.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing outside of your 9 to 5 job? Or like outside of that, I guess like there's some people that don't have a choice. You know what I'm saying? The people that are like, like they have kids. I understand that, and all that. But it's like when you have the power of choice, man, which we happen to have. You know what I'm saying? Why wouldn't you take that leap of faith? You know what I'm saying? It's uncomfortable, but it's necessary, bro.
You said it just there, and I think that's the key because I've spoken to a lot of people about how my life has positively changed since finding some purpose and following passion, right? And people say, it's hard for me to imagine, and you might be the same listening to this or watching this at home. It's hard for me to understand or settle for a purpose or attach to a purpose when I need my 9 to 5 to survive.
That's what's up.
And my thing is, or they think there's no purpose for me in my career, but it doesn't have to be a career that's purpose-driven.
That's right, bro.
Your career can be the thing that financially provides you a foundation to support your family,
That's what's up.
to support your dreams. But what you need, if it's not your career, if it's not your purpose that you're going to work for every day, you need the passions and the purpose outside of it, outside of the 9 to 5. That could be, man, after you leave your job at 5, you take your suit off, or you take your power business suit if you're one of the ladies back home. And you go to the horse paddock and you jump on your horses and you ride your horses because that's the thing you love.
Exactly.
Or you go home and you tend to this garden that you want to provide fresh fruit and vegetables for the community because that's the service you want to provide people.
That's what's up, man.
Whatever it is, it doesn't have to be your work. It doesn't have to be something that you see in the movies or something that you've read in a book. It just has to be something that connects to you.
That's absolutely, and it's important too that you say it because And I love that you're 100% real and honest with your audience, bro. Like you said, I've made nothing.
Bro,
$0, you know what I'm saying? But I'm sacrificing what I am for what I'm wanting to be. And it's like, I feel like it is a lot of walking by faith and not sight, but at the same time, it's a certain amount of calmness that comes over your life. Like when you know that this is where I'm meant to be. I ain't making that much money. Bro, I'm probably more poorer than I was when I was working at the cafe right now. People don't know that. People think I'm like living like this, like lavish. I'm like, where's the money?
Yeah.
Where? Bro, like, okay, no joke, right? This is crazy, right? So this dude, right, he saw me walking, right? And I was walking to the gym. He saw me in the morning, beeped at me, right? And I waited, hey, what's up? Saw me again at night when I was coming to the gym. This is literally like, this was last week. And so I see, bro, and then the second time he stops. Bro, did I lift somewhere? No, man, I'm all good. It's like, bro, do you just go on Love Island, man? Like, don't you have a lot of money now? Like, deals and I was like, brother, so, okay, aside from all of that, like, do you think that, like, an experience like that is going to change exactly who I am right now? And it's like, it took that moment, like, I had to put all ego aside, man. I was like, to be honest, bro, I got a car, but it ain't moving. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got shit I gotta do. But it's like, I got shit to do right now. I'm happy right now, bro. That's the question you should be asking. T, are you happy? You know what I mean? Like, bro, like, you still walking to the gym. People saw me in the train. Bro, you still catch trains? Yeah, but it was a limo. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, no, bro. You know what I mean? That's but it's like for me, man, I am where I am right now. And it's like I like to feel like I'm probably like the happiest that I've been right now because I've got like this feeling of like, man, like, I don't care if people misunderstand the way that I live right now. You know what I'm saying? It's my way of keeping my feet firmly on the ground. All that stuff will come. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like I've got so much direction right now. And, even though like I'm living way beneath my means, it's important, man, that we are 100% honest with ourselves and to like the people. That's why like it's so important, bro, that you actually said that because people need to have a certain amount of, they need to be able to like relate to your journey. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what makes you you. And people want to see that and go, yo, right, I can do this shit too. Because when the good stuff starts to come, they can appreciate it because they see your journey as well too,
That's
so
right.
That guy that saw me walking, hey, it's okay. I'm on the come up. Okay, I'm happy. I don't need a ride. Hey, even if it's raining, leave me.
hey, that's the truth. You know what's funny, bro? I look back to probably this time last year, to be fair, because it was around Feb last year. I sold my house, right? So I worked really hard in real estate for a couple of years, as you know. I think most of you listening to the podcast would know, but maybe some people of your audience that have come across to tune into this. And I worked in three and a half years in the real estate industry, and I saved really hard. And I was 23 when I bought my first little apartment. I remember buying this apartment, and then not long after that, I left my job and had a mortgage. So I was paying this mortgage, man. I was just dipping into my savings. Yeah. And I remember getting to the point after a year where I was like, I'm broke. I need to sell this house because I can't afford to pay this mortgage any longer. And I didn't want help from anyone because I chose this life. Yeah, exactly. I chose to follow my purpose. So I have to suffer the consequences that come with it. I have to live up to the life and the man that I'm trying to become, right?
That's what's up.
And so I remember it was the last 6 weeks. My apartment had been sold. And I was waiting for the settlement, which is when the money comes through, right?
Chase, man. Man's just waiting for the bag, like.
Right. I remember calling the bank and I go to them, hey, how you going? They're like, yeah, good, what can we do for you, Brad? And I'm like, so that loan payment that comes out this week? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, can you all hold that for a bit? And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, they're like, we need to take it out. And they're like, well, how much money do you have? And I'm like, well, I've got $35 in my account to last 6 weeks. Rah! Right, and I was hustling. I was trying to sell a few ads on the podcast.
Exactly,
I was like, doing what I could to survive. And I said, guys, if you could just hold out on that for like 6 weeks. I was like, I can send you the contract to say that the house is sold, the money's coming straight back to you. But just give me 6 weeks. And I remember they were like, okay, we understand, we'll do it. They took it out though, and I was at the kiosk.
You're minus.
I was at the kiosk ready to get a coffee, and my card's declined. I'm like, why is it declining? I seen they'd taken it out, and I'm like minus like $1,500 or something for my loan repayments.
Lord, boy.
And I call her, I'm like, hey, and it's the same chick, and she's like, hey Brad, what's wrong? And I go,
you took the money?
I took that money out. And she's like, oh shit, I'll send it back to you now. So she sends it back to me.
Sends it back?
Yeah.
Oh.
So they reversed it, and I was like, oh yeah, I can get a coffee today. But it's funny because I look at that and people go, weren't you stressed? Yeah, there was a level of stress, but I was so happy, man.
That's what's up, man.
I was just doing me, and I was like,
what?
I walked away from over $100,000 a year to do this and to make no money, and I've understood the stress and the struggle. And you know, I'm not comparing it to anyone else because I know there's people who go through, like you said, man, where you come from, that struggle is consistent.
Yeah.
But it's not like money will never make you happy unless you've got it for the right reasons, and it provides you, you know, like, yeah, it provides a level of comfort, it gives you a level of opportunity. But if you're not following purpose, if you don't have those things and those anchors in your life that make you happy and speak to who you truly are at the core, it means
exactly,
nothing.
bro. And but people are so money driven, bro. And it's like, it pains me hearing shit like that. It's like, I feel like people are scared of the struggle.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We were talking about it before, man. It's some people out there, man, that are just actually scared to just take that leap. It's scary. I ain't gonna lie to you. Like, we ain't gonna sugarcoat though, bro. This shit is tough sometimes, man. And we always get to a turning point when you're like, am I really in the right place? You know what I'm saying? But that's that test we were talking about before, where it's like, for you to level up, you got to go through that test. Don't expect to be promoted without you taking a certain amount of responsibility upon your life to take the necessary test of, shit, like, I'm leaving behind comfort to go into this thing that I don't know nothing about, but I'm going in through something that actually aligns with my vision. That's the important thing, bro. And I feel like, you know, like, look, money is so important. And it's like, for me, man, like, I've always been under financial stress, man, because I never wanted to be rich, bro. I just want to be comfortable to a point where I can provide my family, everything's okay, lay a foundation, you know, and, you know, it's okay. I just want to live a comfortable life, bro. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, but it's always so weird, like, where it's like finances, you know, like people say, you know, like money, yeah, it's like the root of all evil. I don't like, but the lack of money and the greed of money, it's like, money might not be important to some people, but it buys everything else that's important. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you're stuck in this thing, money, happiness. Maybe both, combination is good. But I mean, like, for you, good.
Don't be defined by it.
Don't be defined by it, you know what I'm saying? It's like, all the sweet stuff will come, but it's like, up until you have that core of, like, man, I need to struggle, man. I need to struggle. That's why we love David so much, man, because he allows us to understand that the struggle is good. You know what I'm saying?
Amen.
You like callous your mind to a point where you're like, yo, hold up. Like, I'm going to get through another situation kind of like this, but I've dealt with this before.
Bro, it's so true. I heard Rogan talking about it recently on a pod, and he was saying, you know, like, anyone who follows his pod or follows the kind of podcast world, Spotify bought his rights for $100 million. It's a lot of money. $100 million
a lot of cash, man.
US is a lot of money. But he was talking about it. He said, people have like asked me and almost expected my life to change. And he's like, but why? Because who I am at the core and who we are as human beings, he's like, what am I going to do? Not get up and train hard in the morning?
Exactly right, man.
That brings me happiness. It reminds me that struggle is important.
That's right, bro.
What am I not going to do? Go out on my hunting expeditions, go do my comedy, come sit here and have conversations with people I want to learn from and grow from. That's what makes me me. Why would my life change just because I come into money? Yeah, it will provide me certain freedoms where I can make sure that my kids are always going to be sweet. I can make sure there's always food on the table. I can make sure that unnecessary struggle isn't a part of my life.
That's right, man.
I'm going to choose to struggle where I have choice because that's what makes me the best version of me.
And that's like, that's the muscle that got us here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Struggle and heart is literally the muscles that got us here. And it's like, the moment that you stop relating to the struggle is the moment that your life is going to drastically start to change. I feel anyway. The moments that I've like, but you know what? It's so crazy. I've been at moments, right? So for example, I hate talking about the whole island thing, man. But, you know, it's like a part of my life now. But anyway, so we went to like this like influencer event, right? Where we got to this event and bro, we were being treated like, oh my God, these guys, they were on the TV. They're here now, all this shit. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm I'm seeing all these influencers, bro, and I'm like, oh my God, I used to see that person on TV. Man, I gotta like, I used to see that person when I was just having oats for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yo, shit. Like, it's like I was in awe of like that situation where it's like, like it was almost like I saw a quote like where it was like, it's hard for you to be rich with a poverty mindset. So it was like kind of like perspective in that where for me, I was just a small town city boy. I didn't see myself as that, but I was in a position where there were so many people that had like, like higher like accolades and shit. And I'm just there like, I'm not meant to be here. It was so weird for me because I felt so uncomfortable in that position. Oh man, like this suits you, wow man, like you look amazing. But it's like, when I go back here, that's why I love being in Wollongong so much, bro. You know what I'm saying? Putting it into perspective so that like this story doesn't sound weird, but it's like, when I was there, it was like, okay, that's enough. I gotta go back home. Yeah. Wollongong is my home. It's like, the reason why I love being here is like, it's the only place that I feel like, hasn't changed for me. I come back to like people like you know what I'm saying? Like where it's like, you're so grounded, feet are firmly on the ground, bro. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I feel like this is the place where I can use as a retreat. Like, it's almost like going back in the dark in a way, going back to the struggle in a way. And it's like, it's like what I use to put me back, I'm not trying to explain like the right way. It's almost like there's a guy, right? And there's a famous bodybuilder. His name's Dorian Yates. They called him the Shadow, right? I love his story because he had this gym called Temple Gym. It's literally like you walk down the stairs, it's like you go into a dungeon. He'll literally lock himself in there, couple hours a day, and it's like no one will see him for the rest of the year. Up until it came to Mr. Olympia time, greatest bodybuilder of all time, bro, and comes and wins it, disappears again. Everyone's like, what the hell? It's like, and people just see photos of him every now and then, but no one sees him.
Yeah.
But he relates to the hard work and the struggle, and no matter how many Mr. Olympias he won, 4 or 5 or whatever it is, no matter how much money he ever got, he made sure that he went back to that dungeon and he related back to the struggle because that's what got him there. And that's why I feel like Wollongong, for me, is a place where it's kind of like my place of retreat. So when I go to these influencer events or whatever it is, like I'm like, okay, that's only gonna last a certain amount of time, but when this is over, I gotta go back home.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? That. I've got people that are home right now, you know what I mean, that I gotta, like look after, like, all this shit, you know what I mean, that I have to get back to. But it's like a place that I'm like, yo, like, it's like a place of zen in a way. But that's why I feel like it's so important, man, to be able to go, yo, look, no matter how good things get, kind of go back to what actually got you there. And that's why I love that whole thing about Joe Rogan, man. Like, I love that, bro. Like, don't let that money and that like whole glamour life, like, distract you from like who you actually are.
It's really important, brother. That's a great message. I want to we've spoken about so much today, and I feel like we could sit here for 4 hours and
that's a problem, bro.
But I want to ask you 2 questions that I've been asking all of my guests in season 3 of the show.
Okay.
The 2 questions being, well, actually, it's not. I always say 2 questions, but it's actually 1 question and 1 challenge.
Yeah.
The question is, what's your biggest fear right now?
Mm-hmm. My biggest fear right now is to go back where I came from. I know it sounds weird, but it scares me now. We're talking about before. We're talking about how I have a lot of conversations with people that I meet along the way, along the journey, whatever it is, and I was having a conversation with my best mate, and like we're talking about like how like the generation before us had a certain amount of responsibility, that chip on the shoulder. You know what I'm saying? They the amount of grind, like they put a different meaning to grind. And when we asked our parents, you know what I mean, why they grind so hard, is because it scares them to go back to where they came from. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know why everything else has to relate back to the struggle. Like, it's weird, but it's like that's the muscle that got us where we are right now. And I feel like for me, that's how I'm gonna stay relatable to people. That's one thing. And me, I feel like it scares me to go back home. You know what I mean? But even like when I go home for holidays, you know what I'm saying, or whatever it is, there's a certain time when I'm like, it's time for me to go back here. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm too good for it, but it's like I don't want to get stuck in that realm of I get comfortable again. I get scared, bro. Like it actually scares me of going back to like where I came from, because it's like I like to feel like, you know, I've been leveling up, bro. Every single bit of my life, Brad, has literally been like a level up from the previous. I'll just give you like a little quick.
Go.
You know, time. So I was in a public school, living with my grandmoms, granddads. Everything was great, man. We had a great upbringing. You know what I'm saying? Like in the community that we were in, like we were very, you know, like it was great. And I'll go to like the farms, like in like, you know, like in our village, like in the holidays. Life was great. I didn't know that there was any more for me after that. I changed. I went to a private school.
Yeah.
Seeing all these like kids, bro. Like at our school at Hillcrest College, bro, in Mutare, we had like members of parliament in that school, and I was at a public school where like we used to like roll out like in red dust. You know what I'm saying? So for me, in perspective, like man, now I gotta wear a tie. You know what I mean? Like I'm in slacks playing rugby. This is weird. Wow, life is great. My auntie comes here. She's like, "You come to Australia?" Wow. I thought that was wild. I was in Nara. This is crazy. I moved to Wollongong. I started making all these teams for like footy. I'm like, wow, life is amazing. Like, whew, it's a level up. I just keep blinking and I'm in a different level of my life. You know, I wind up, for some reason I'm on TV. What the hell is going on? You know what I'm saying? Now it's like, people see me and they're like, you know, they're shocked to see me. I'm like, no, don't be, you know, like, don't be shocked. I'm just a regular digger. If only you knew that every single bit of my life was a level up, bro. But now it scares me to go back to the previous level because it had a certain amount of uncertainty of what's ahead. But now I'm so happy and content in knowing that I don't have to know all the answers. Because if you knew what was to come, what's the point of faith? And what's the point of you working hard?
I love that.
You know what I'm saying? So to answer your question, man, me thinking about, you know, going back to where I was before, whatever stage that I'm in, no matter how shit I have it, that's what scares me the most.
Yeah, fuck, brother, that's
what scares
powerful,
me, bro.
That's powerful. I love that.
You
bro,
know.
I think this is probably a really good way to roll off the back of that question is one task I've been giving to my guests. It's almost like a bit of homework, right?
I love that.
I want you to set yourself a challenge right here in this moment that you'll be accountable to, that I keep saying that in 10 years' time, when you look back on this 4K footage and it's a little bit grainy and, and you're like, man, shit, they didn't have VR goggles back.
Yeah, man, it's black and white shit.
I want you to look back on it and go, man, did I achieve that? Or do I need to get back on track with that?
Right.
What's that challenge for yourself? It might be something that's super simple, something that's been a part of, you know, a challenge you're working towards or a goal you're working towards right now.
Right. Man, I think, you know, shit, that's big, man. Like, because I've always got a vision board, but you know, as of recent, I have been scared to ride on it because I've got all these big things I can do, or all these big things that I want to do, but scared of the work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And because I've just been like, I gotta get back to my core. You know what I mean? But I think you getting back to the core sometimes takes away that focus of where you need to get to. So that's a great question. So as I said before, man, I think in 10 years time, bro, I want to be able to have a platform, or would have had a platform why, you know, can inspire people. I would love to have a TV show, bro. I would love to have a TV show, or like, you know, something along the lines of something like on YouTube where like people just go and click, oh fuck, man, I'm feeling a little bit low. Let me just click on this, man. This will give me some energy. You know what I'm saying? This make me laugh. You know what I mean? Yeah. Having that sort of a platform. You know, some sort of talk show, something
Productions,
like that.
Bro.
Hey, Talks with Talks. You know what I mean? Who knows? You know what I'm saying? I've been thinking about it, but I'm scared to write it down. You know what I'm saying? But you know, that's something, man, that I would love to have, man. You know, and yeah, man, and you know, I think me doing that, man, thinking about this right now, if I make a short clip of this, and if I see this 10 years from now, if I would achieve it, like, I'm happy to die.
I love that, bro.
But I appreciate that, man. That's good. That's actually set like a bit of pressure on me, bro.
Yeah, I love it. One last thing I just kind of want to finish off on is, you know, we spoke about Goggins and you listening to or reading Can't Hurt Me at the moment. Is there anything else you're listening to, studying that you're just getting good vibes and feeling like there's good self-growth and self-development within at the moment?
Yeah, bro. Like, I mean, shit. Like a lot, man. Like, I feel like every day I try and grow, bro. You know what I mean? I think when you start to get in a position where you might not be growing spiritually, whatever, maybe physically, like, you know, like, mentally, like, that's when you start to deteriorate in a way, and that's when you start to lose, you know, vision and sight. And for me, for example, I was telling you this before, every time that I've gone in an Uber, you know, like, it's always like a little bit like you know, like, it's always like older people, you know, and I always ask, hey, like, if you were to look at your 24-year-old self, what kind of wisdom or like, you know, advice that you'll give to him, you know? And I've taken that from just that to anyone that I'd meet, or like anyone that I have like coffee with, or like people that I just meet like in past. Hey man, do you have like any like sort of like wisdom or advice? And that for me, man, is something that I've been making sure that I do more often. You know what I'm saying? Because like, as we said, man, one beggar showing another beggar where found the bread, right? But with that being said, something that I would love to leave with people is in relation to the struggle. You know what I mean? And all that is like, without wounds, there's no wisdom. You know what I'm saying? You can't be able to tell someone else, like, yo, like, this is how good I have it, without you telling them what you went through. You know what I'm saying? It's like you grow through what you go through in a way. Yeah, cool. But it's like, don't be scared to ask these questions. Like, I'm telling people, don't be scared to go to another person. Hey, look, like, you know, like a little bit older, whatever it is, ask them, yo, what sort of advice do you have for me? Like, what sort of wisdom can you give to me? Because that person might tell you something that will change your life, man, innit? I was telling you that thing too about when I got in that Uber, and that dude was like telling me about the whole fishing thing. Do you have time?
Yeah, bro, go.
Real quick. So I was in an Uber, right? Like, when I very much started doing this whole, you know, asking, like, you know, like Uber drivers, hey, like, what sort of advice like would you give like your 21-year-old self? I was 21 at that time. I was at uni. I wasn't sure if that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to come into entertainment, but I wasn't too sure how to do it. And he started to tell me, man, about fishing, all this shit. I was like, oh man, you know, yeah, I'll just, you know, just get the boat, strap up, you know. But he was just talking about fishing the whole time. It was like, I've always wanted to just catch like a big Jewfish, and I finally got it, man. It was the best day of my life. I'm just about to go out of this Uber, but I'm like, I didn't grow from any of this. Why do I do this shit? And he's like, man, I haven't finished it. I'm just about to like, you know, get out. I was like, oh, thanks anyway. He's like, I haven't finished it. I literally go back in the car and I shut the door, and he's like, look, the reason for my story was the metaphor for me going out every single day on that boat, you know, was, you know, a metaphor for life of you every day. You wake up every single morning, you know what I mean? You go out to your job, you go out and do whatever that you got to do, right? But it's like, he used the rod as a metaphor for you casting out for every single opportunities and dreams. You know what I'm saying? And every single bit of fish like that it got, he used that as a metaphor for the opportunities that life throws at us, right? And he was like, but I caught so many fish that were too small for me to go home with. So many fish that I didn't really would like to eat. Like, I was like, oh, I don't know, you know what? This isn't the right fish for me. And he's like, that's the same thing as the opportunities that life throws at you. In other words, don't mistake stones for bread. You know why you got out there for. He's like, I was going out there because I wanted to catch this big Jewfish. And when that time came, it felt amazing because there were so many times that I'd go out there, out at sea, and I just didn't want to be out there. But the main thing is, you don't catch a Jewfish while she's sitting on the couch. And it was so weird, bro. Like, he just like brought out this like, you know, profound message, you know, from just a fishing story. But for me, it meant so much for me, bro, because I was doing so many things in my life that weren't really completely tied to my vision and purpose. And allowed me to go, yo, look, I've got bigger fish to fry. You know what I'm saying? Like, literally, he literally put that saying, like, you know, to a point where I can't, but it gave me goosebumps and chills. I tell this to everyone that I meet, man.
Yeah, I know.
And it was like, up until that point when I asked this dude, he must have been down to tell someone this story. You know what I mean? But he moved me, man. I hope he sees this. And I hope you guys out there, man, like, you know, use that, man, like, as motivation, man, to be able to, like, ask these questions, you know what I mean? Because literally, you never know, another person's story, man, will change the way that you look at life. You know what I'm saying? Bar.
I love that so much, bro.
Deep, bro.
For everyone listening or watching back home, remember that right there.
Bar.
Cast your rod into the ocean every day, and when you pull in those opportunities, know what you went out there for.
Bro.
Pick up your pen and start writing, because you are the author of your story and you dictate the story that will be told after your time. Believe with every ounce of your being that you're meant to be here for bigger things.
That's what's up,
and
man.
Believe in your purpose. Go in search of it. Find it. It's your only obligation in life. I've got so much love for you, my guy. Thank you so much for coming through here.
Me, my guy.
Every single person listening, watching back home, all the TK's info is going to be in the show description. I'm talking his tags for socials where you can find him. Make sure you give this some love. Share it around with your family and your friends. There's so much within this that I know will inspire so many people. And I feel super grateful to have not only had you here on the show, but for you to be a part of my life. You know, you're a mate that I hold really close to my heart. So
you too, bro.
It's been a pleasure to have you here.
Mate, appreciate it.
Take care, guys. Cheers.